Well, hey there, students, and welcome to the second set of lectures that go with 1182, and we're going to focus on the Qing Dynasty. Now, the Qing had things going their way, man. I mean, 1644, they take over, they protect the country from outside invasion, they pacify the nation, they encourage infrastructure improvements. But just like all Chinese dynasties, they run their course and they run into the same problems of internal struggle and outside threats. But what really undermined the Qing dynasty is they were looked upon as outsiders, as foreigners. They're from Manchuria. They are not Chinese. This dissatisfaction with the Qing dynasty is going to lead to a series of rebellions with some pretty cool sounding names. Here's a cool sounding name, the White Lotus Rebellion. We're talking about a time period from 1794 to 1804. And to understand the White Lotus Rebellion, we have to venture to a central Chinese province called Sichuan. Now, if you're familiar with Chinese food, Sichuan cooking is extremely spicy. I'm loving it. But this is the origins of this White Lotus Rebellion, this White Lotus Society that is headquartered in this province of Sichuan. To understand the White Lotus Society is to understand three characteristics. Number one, they are ultra-patriotic. They want to get rid of all foreign control of China. This was true of the Mongols, and this is going to be true of the Qing. Also, they're committed to good government. They are opposed to government corruption, hence they didn't like the Ming. They're also committed to Buddhism. They trace their origins back to the Buddha, the awakened one. So these are ultra-patriotic, highly religious individuals, and that historically has been a pretty powerful combination. The White Lotus Society went through periods of hiding and then periods of activity. And what made them reemerge in 1794 in a big way was the feeling that local tax officials in Sichuan were corrupt. A legitimate feeling that many of these officials were simply taking revenue and pocketing a fair amount of it. So the White Lotus Rebellion started as a tax revolt, which grew into massive protest, which grew into armed conflict where territory was taken, and the Qing dynasty was not about to tolerate any of it. For the next 10 years, they battled the White Lotus Society in Sichuan province and defeated them. But this conflict is going to signal dark times for the Qing dynasty in the future. As we close up shop on the White Lotus Rebellion, I want you to keep a couple things in mind. There's a couple phenomena which keep coming around in Chinese history. One of them is these periods of strong central government, followed by these periods of local rulers who have lots of control but are very corrupt, followed by strong local government again. So it goes through these cycles. Something else that's really important, going back all the way back to 1181, all the way back to the first couple units in 1181, we talk about this concept of the mandate of heaven, how governments start to lose the loyalty of the people when the people start to sense that heaven is opposed to them, natural forces are opposed to them. So don't forget that concept of the mandate of heaven. It's crucial, and don't forget that cycle of strong national central government followed by a period of corrupt, local, warring provincial leaders.